Oh, yeah, it's your WWE Raw review show for Monday, December 13th. December 13th already. Good God. Raw in St. Paul, Minnesota tonight. We saw Maurice slap her husband, The Miz. We saw Bobby Lashley wrestle 3 times. And Otis gets a big win in his home state. Let's talk about Raw. Do-do-do. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Brett fell down before the show. I was like, oh, Brett! You know, like the kid. Brett!
That kid was me.
Yeah, that was me. That was all of us, right? Back in the 90s? We were all that little kid screaming out for Brett!
I remember when we met Bret the Hitman Hart.
Oh, my God.
And he was walking down the hall, like, to leave.
Yes, I know.
I strongly consider, but, like, they were on the air at the time. It would have interrupted things. But
Yeah.
it took every fiber of my being not to go, Brett! And then have, like, do that turn around.
Huh? And then he comes back and gives you his sunglasses.
And a high five.
Yeah. And he like, tussles your hair, you know? Yeah. You see Bret Hart walking down a hallway. How do you not scream out, Brett? How do you, right? I mean, that's just like the thing you have to do. Shout out to everybody. I hope you all remember Bret Hart.
Shout out to Bret.
And shout out to Bret, of course.
We love you.
None of this would be possible without Bret the Hitman Hart, the greatest wrestler of all time. A lot of people don't know from Bret Hart. You know, they don't know about Bret. They don't know about the Hitman. They don't know about the Hulkster. They
got the wrong idea, at least, about Bret.
They know about
they think Bret's just like some old guy.
Some old bitter guy, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see your face on the camera here. There you go.
Look away. I'm hideous.
Yeah, you know. But a lot of people here watching the show tonight, they know about Bret the Hitman Hart. Guys like Angelo Contagonis, guys like Lorne Cronish. These guys know about Bret. We all know about Bret. And a lot of people wrestling on Raw tonight, well, let's say they're not Bret Hart. To put it mildly, not a lot of Bret Harts on the show tonight. You have a Bobby Lashley. You have a Seth Rollins.
Whole lot of Lashley tonight.
Whole lot of Bobby. Bunch of Roberto Lashley was all over this show tonight. He starts off the show with MVP with an in-ring promo, which is really not what you want to see to start off Raw. Bobby with a mic. It was not great. They say they're being disrespected because Bobby is not in the title match at day one, and it's not fair, and if there's a WWE title match, Bobby Lashley should be in it because otherwise it's wrong, and Lashley's getting screwed, and I didn't really listen to the promo because it was super boring. They just kind of said the same things over and over again.
Pretty much, yeah.
Over and over again.
Whining.
Bah, bah, bah. How come Bobby's not in the WWE title match? Why is it a triple threat? It should be a fatal 4-way. Kevin Owens comes out, and he's like, oh, Bobby, you're not disrespected. You just don't deserve to be in the match, and you shouldn't be in the title match. And then Seth Rollins comes out, and he's like, yeah, Bobby, actually, I agree with you, Kevin Owens, for once. You shouldn't be in this match, Bobby. And then Kevin Owens says that they should go attack Bobby together. And he says, Seth, you go after him, and I'll be right behind you. And Seth knows Kevin is up to no good. That was actually the high point of this promo when Kevin's like, yeah, go after him. Let's go after him. I'm right behind you. That was a nice little line from Kevin. Other than that, this promo was kind of boring and obvious. Big E eventually came out. Of course, Big E, Kevin, and Seth are in the triple threat at day one for the WWE title. Big E is the champion, if you were not aware. Big E says, look, I'll beat you, Bobby Lashley. I have no problem beating you. I beat you for the WWE title. I beat you again in a steel cage. I'll beat you again right now if I have to. And then Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville come out and they say, oh, you all know you're not allowed to touch each other tonight. And if you do touch, you'll be suspended or fined.
No touching.
No touching. But now we're going to book you in a bunch of matches against each other. So that
sanction touching.
The no touching rule went out the window very quickly. I don't know why they even mentioned that. Like, what was the point of them saying, don't fight now? You'll be fighting throughout the night in a variety of different ways against each other.
Yeah, it's not even like the storyline they like to do sometimes where it's like, oh, if you touch him, don't put your hands on him, the match is off. They didn't even do any kind of that invoking. It was just no touching.
No touching.
Later.
Or you'll be suspended.
Yeah. None of that. No.
Which, as we know, being suspended is really awful. It happened to Brock Lesnar recently. He was suspended and fined on SmackDown, comes back, and immediately gets a title shot against Roman Reigns. So, really serious consequences. Oh, yeah, he learned his lesson. Gets a vacation. He was fined $1 million, apparently, by Adam Pearce and the powers that be in World Wrestling Entertainment.
Oh.
But still gets a WWE Universal title shot on his return, so really, who's laughing? Big E comes out, and he's like, yeah, I'll beat you, and then Pearce and Sonya come out, and they say, okay, Bobby in the match at day one makes sense. How about we do a fatal four-way? But Bobby, if you want to be in the match, you're going to have to beat Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens and Bobby Lashley and Big E in 3 separate singles matches tonight. And this is, again, one of these things that they do on Raw constantly. They set up these stipulation matches that only go one way. There's nothing really on the line for Bobby Lashley other than not being in the title match. And when you set up these 3 matches, you know Bobby's going to at least win 2 of them. As a matter of fact, you know that he's going to win all 3.
Very much.
Right? Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget to subscribe. But you know that Bobby is going to win all 3 of these matches as soon as they're set up at the top of the show. It's obvious. Because the stipulation is if Bobby wins, then it'll be a fatal 4-way at day 1. So what are we doing here? Bobby, last week, he attacked Big E. He attacked Kevin Owens. He tried to say that he was getting screwed and he wanted to be in the match at day 1. And now they set up a way for Bobby to be in the match at day 1. Like, what do you expect is going to happen? Why are we watching this? We know what's going to happen. Bobby's going to beat these guys some way. And then at the end of the night, it'll be a fatal 4-way for day 1.
We don't need to watch the 3 matches when you tell us the result before they even take place.
There was no stakes for Bobby Lashley. Like,
and he loves steak.
Yeah. But how about, like, you know, if Bobby doesn't win, you know, or how about, you know, if Kevin loses, he's not in the match anymore. If Seth loses, he's not in the match anymore. Like, if Bobby can get through something, but then, you know, you can't do the fatal 4-way. But it just, it's not fun to watch when you know what's going to happen. You're watching this 3-hour show. You're watching 3 Bobby Lashley matches that you've seen before that you don't need to see again. They're not great. None of them were particularly good. Bobby beats Kevin Owens with the Hurt Lock. Half applies the Hurt Lock. Kevin Owens just taps because he doesn't want to get hurt by the Hurt Lock. Bobby seemed upset he didn't get to finish his finisher.
That was like the only kind of creative bit.
Kevin had a creative finish. He didn't just tap to the Hurt Lock. He tapped before it was fully applied to save himself because he realized the stipulation, right? He was like, okay, well, I don't really need to win this match as long as Seth or Big E surely will beat Bobby Lashley at some point, and I can actually help them cheat to win to ensure that Bobby Lashley does not win this series of matches tonight. And he tried. It was Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. Before the match, Kevin wanted to help Seth. He was talking to Seth about coming out and helping him and distracting Bobby or whatever, but Seth didn't want any help from Kevin. Kevin comes out anyways and attacks Seth Rollins, which causes the disqualification, which was smart. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is not bad, you know? We're out of this. This is a finish I was not expecting. I expected Bobby Lashley to beat Seth here. Kevin Owens comes in. Smart, right? Causes the disqualification. And then Seth wins because he got attacked by Kevin, right? Kevin doesn't like Seth. It makes sense, right, that he would attack him because they have this heat. And then Bobby Lashley doesn't get to be in the match. But then immediately Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce come out, and they're like, no, let's restart the match. Seth turns around, gets speared. 1, 2, 3, Bobby Lashley wins.
And the crowd hated that.
Yeah, of course they didn't like it. Because it was like, oh, okay.
And it just felt weird. Like, for a heel to go through this obvious babyface path is so strange to see, because it's like, usually that would happen to the babyface, and then we'd be like, yeah, our guy's got a second chance, and then he gets the spear, Roman or something would get the spear and then advance and have it, or Kofi Kingston, he went through a lot of gauntlet matches on his way to, like, winning the championship.
Yeah.
But for Bobby, this heel, for him to get, like, a second chance, the fans are just like, oh, like just deflated.
Yeah. Like, we don't want Bobby Lashley to succeed. He's a bad guy.
And it's just, I guess the authority figures are heels too, and it's just not giving the audience what they want. But it's just so strange because they're just giving it like this very obvious sort of baby face, framing.
Yeah, but he's not a babyface. The only babyface in this supposedly is Big E. It was weird the way they did it, and like, couldn't there be another way to make this a fatal 4-way rather than waste our time with all this Bobby Lashley singles matches? Because you didn't care about any of these matches. You didn't care about the Kevin Owens match. You didn't care about the Seth Rollins match. And by the time you got to the Big E match, it was the main event. They made it no DQ for some reason, which, of course, allowed Seth and Kevin to get involved and all that. You just didn't care. It would have been a lot easier to get through this, maybe in a match, maybe in a segment. Why couldn't Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, when they come out at the beginning of the show and they say, oh, Bobby in this match actually makes sense. Bobby's pretty impressive. Yeah, let's put him in the match. It's a fatal 4-way now. Like, they're heel authority figures. Bobby Lashley's a heel. Couldn't we have avoided all those filler matches that we didn't care about, that we didn't need to see, that probably killed the ratings, that just got people to tune out because you don't care? Because the rest of the show was not that bad. It's just the main story, the main program that they're running is just so damn obvious. You don't really want to sit through it because it's so boring. Like, you could have just had Pearce and Sonya say at the beginning of the show, when MVP and Bobby cut that promo, Pearce and Sonya come out, and they even said, oh, Fatal 4-Way is a good idea. But, Bobby, you have to wrestle all these matches. How about they don't do the but? How about they just say, yeah, okay, it's Fatal 4-Way. Bobby, you're in. Sorry Kevin, sorry Seth, sorry Big E, but Bobby, you're in. But and then Kevin and Seth could complain, and they could argue that they deserve a match with Bobby Lashley. So you say, okay, well, Bobby, you got a nice little present from us, so now you have to wrestle Kevin and Seth in a 2-on-1 match tonight.
And they fall apart.
Kevin
takes the pinfall.
And Kevin takes the fall, and Bobby winds up looking strong still. That way you don't have your WWE champion taking a pinfall in the main event, which isn't great. Not helping Big E at all still. Big E has another night as WWE champion where he doesn't look strong and he loses.
And he's not the focal point of the show. He's mostly backstage, quiet. And then he kind of cuts a promo with Kevin and Seth. Kevin and Seth.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just very little. Like, he's the fourth most important person in this program.
Yeah. I think the most important people in the program,
Seth and Bobby.
I'd say Seth and Kevin right now, because they're kind of, like, they're getting more airtime than, Bobby did get a lot of airtime. He did kind of start the show. This was about Bobby tonight, but it was like Bobby and then Seth, then Kevin, then Big E. Mm-hmm. Big E was just kind of an afterthought. He did wrestle in the main event, but of course Kevin and Seth got involved after doing a promo before the match saying that they wanted to come and get involved and Big E telling them not to. They still come out. They attack Bobby Lashley to try and help Big E win. Big E doesn't want to win that way, pulls them off. Kevin and Seth then turn on Big E, attack him. E eventually fights them off. Bobby gets up. E hits Kevin with a Uranagi through the table on the outside, and then right afterwards, almost as if it were planned, Bobby Lashley spears Seth Rollins through a table, so we're back to Bobby and Big E, and then MVP just hits Big E in the leg with his cane, and Big E's like, ow, and then Bobby spears him, and the
really
match is
hurts.
over. Yeah, like, it's like, all right, well, why couldn't we have just skipped all this bullshit with Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and just had MVP hit him with a cane? Like, if it was just a cane shot to the leg that stopped Big E and allowed Bobby to hit the spear, well, why couldn't we have just skipped to that? How come MVP didn't use that cane earlier in the match? It seemed pretty useful. It worked very well.
He wasn't involved at all in the match until that point.
There's just a lot of nonsense you didn't have to sit through. And that 3-match set for Bobby Lashley is just so unnecessary and so obvious. It's too obvious.
And it wasn't even in a row. We had to have 3 separate Bobby Lashley entrances. I've got his theme song in my head right now. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, he kept coming out.
Boom, boom, boom.
All right, I get it. You're gonna put it in my head now for the rest of the night. But it was like, it was too much. It was too much. Like Bobby coming out, doing the match, getting through it. I mean, at least Kevin, in the Seth match, he tried to, like, Kevin Owens tried to make it a little bit interesting. In his match, the finish was a little different. He did come out and cause a disqualification there and attack Seth. Like, there were kind of some turns, but the turns didn't have any time to kind of, like that one turn where Kevin attacks Seth and Seth wins by DQ. It got no time to breathe.
No.
You
Seth
know?
didn't even realize what was going on.
Yeah, Seth was like, oh, wait, I won. And then immediately Sonya and Pierce are out. Like, they waste no time in getting those two out to say, no, we're going to continue the match. And then the match restarts. Bobby hits his finish. It's over 1, 2, 3. Like, maybe something else is going to happen feeling lasts for like a second.
Yeah.
Like the one moment where you're like, oh, this is cool. Maybe Seth is going to win here and Bobby isn't. You know, like go to commercial break with that and then come back and have Pierce and Sonya be like, wait a second now. You know, like give it some time to breathe where you can at least have a little bit of suspense. Like give us a moment of suspense. You're supposed to take us on a ride. It's supposed to be entertainment, but it's not entertaining. It's super boring.
It's in the company's name.
Like there's no suspense at that point. You know, like at that moment I was like, oh, okay, maybe Seth won. But they didn't leave it a second to sit there and marinate where you thought, oh, okay, it's really happening. Because immediately they switch it back and are like, no, we're doing the obvious thing. You thought we were doing something different. No, it's back to obvious.
Please.
It's disappointing. We've got new merch, by the way. Go to our merch page, ringsidereport.net/shop. You can go to merch.ringsidereport.net as well. And
Finally
we have
here.
the Val Venus gear, Veer Venus. Our Veer Venus gear, official Veer Venus original Ringside Report gear is available right now for the holiday season at ringsidereport.net/shop. Check out the Veer Venus gear. Will Veer Venus ever actually appear? They keep running his vignettes on Raw, but
yeah,
I don't know if he's ever actually going to show up. Yeah,
it's like Emelina.
They may never actually do something with Veer.
Or maybe he'll become the new Funkasaurus.
I don't know. But, you know, the Lashley, Owens, Rollins, Big E stuff just kind of killed Raw for me. We had some other matches, you know, that were all right. Some moments that were kind of cool. Vince, Maurice. I'd say match of the night, though, was probably the opener. Riddle and Otis. I think I enjoyed that match more than any other on the show tonight.
Yeah, me too.
E and Bobby was not bad. Like, I thought the match was fine. I thought that Bobby's match with Seth and Bobby's match with Kevin, they were just nothing matches.
Yeah, they're just...
It's just like short, get through it, who cares?
Plate.
Yeah, like nothing, pointless. The match with Big E was like, all right, but we've seen them wrestle so many times. And the fact that Big E is WWE champion and can't beat Bobby Lashley after he's gone through Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, two of the top stars on Raw, and Big E still loses.
Fresh Big E.
And albeit like it was interference from MVP, whatever, but I mean, still, Roman wouldn't have lost in that situation. You know, it's just the fact that he still loses. He's WWE champion. You're not trying to do anything with him. They're clearly not trying to push him. They're clearly not trying to make him into a top star. He's clearly going to drop the belt real soon. He might drop the belt at day one.
I could see Seth winning at day one. It could be a very real possibility.
At this point, what are they really doing to help Big E? And
Bobby might win.
Bobby could win. Kevin won't win. He's the one guy who's like, yeah, I don't think so. I think he's probably leaving. Unless he signed a new contract and maybe they want to reward him, but I doubt it.
Why would you?
I think he's probably leaving. I think Seth could definitely win the title at day one. And if not at day one, maybe at the Rumble. But the way they're building Big E, I don't see him WWE champion come WrestleMania because he's looked awful on these shows. Like, they have not booked him very well. They're having him lose a lot as WWE champion. They're not making him a guy that you believe as a strong champion that could beat a bunch of guys in front of him. He doesn't look good. It's really disappointing. You know, you thought that the Big E title run would be a way to elevate the guy and make him into a main eventer, but it's not. It's just, we're rewarding you for being a good soldier. We're giving you a run with the WWE title. You will drop it after an uneventful title run, and you will go back to being a tag team or mid-card guy. Big E will likely be wrestling for the United States Championship at WrestleMania.
It's a shame.
I really think that Big E probably wrestles like Apollo for the U.S. title, or Big E and Damian Priest and Apollo in a triple threat or something.
Match.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think Big E is in a main event match at WrestleMania, and I'm talking, you know, he's not going to be in a WWE title match, and he's not going to be in a marquee match that's part of the main selling points for WrestleMania. He'll be on a throwaway match, like a U.S. title match, that will mean nothing because the WWE ultimately has failed him. They have failed to elevate him. They have failed to make him into a star, and they really don't seem like they have any intentions of making him into a star. It's really disappointing for me as a guy who wants to see Big E succeed. I know a lot of people want to see him succeed. A lot of people want him as a main event player going forward, and people were very excited when he won the WWE Championship. Unfortunately, the WWE continues to drop the ball on this guy, and tonight was another shining example. Bobby Lashley beats Kevin Owens, beats Seth Rollins, and then also beats Big E in the main event. A guy that Big E at the beginning of his title reign could beat, now he cannot beat after he's wrestled 2 matches previous. And Big E had done nothing all night. He's resting all night. Bobby's wrestling 2 guys. Big E still loses as WWE champion in the main event.
It's not good.
I really thought they were going to push him. I really thought Big E was going to be a star at one point.
There's so many possibilities with him. I don't know. I guess just somebody there who's just really pushing against him at production meetings. And Vince is just not really doesn't care enough. So he's like, okay, fine, sure. Seth, yeah. Seth and Edge at WrestleMania again? Okay, sure.
Ugh.
Didn't they wrestle last year in Mania?
I don't know, but it does feel like it's going to be Seth, right? It just always feels like it's going to go back to Seth at this point.
And then I guess Edge? Because like, who's a babyface challenger if it's not Big E? Damian Priest?
I mean, you know, hopefully if Seth does take the belt, maybe Big E stays around and, you know.
Like a rematch at WrestleMania?
Yeah, 1-on-1. If he loses it in a 4-way. Or, you know, I could see Seth defending the WWE Championship against Goldberg at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because they love Goldberg.
And they haven't had that matchup yet.
Yeah. They haven't done Seth and Goldberg.
It's a dream match.
They've done Goldberg and pretty much everybody else. Why not Seth? They've done Roman. They've done
Kevin.
They've done freaking Dolph Ziggler. You know, I mean, why not Goldberg against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania? They're looking for marquee matches, you know? Hey, they haven't done... Oh, man, I shouldn't have said that because I probably put it out in the universe and I gave them the idea. I know Stephanie's watching. She got nothing else to do. God. I hope Triple H is doing all right. I love Triple H. I feel for him.
And we love you, Paul.
Poor bastard.
Everything's getting taken away from him.
He's
damn
getting, Nick
he's
Khan.
Getting Triple H'd.
Nick Khan's taking everything he worked for, motherfucker. I'm gonna fight your fucking ass. You know, Nate Diaz. He said that to Conor. Conor McGregor, you took everything I worked for, motherfucker. I'm gonna fight your fucking ass. And then he did, and he beat him. It's pretty good. Speaking of fighting, who called Juliana Pena? I'll never let that go. I'm gonna keep calling that. I'm gonna keep saying that forever. I told you Juliana Pena was gonna win. And she did. One of the biggest upsets in the history of the UFC, and I called it miles away. And it's not like I'm a guy who gives you a lot of long shots, but she was one that I saw winning. And she won! They said I was crazy. What's crazy now, baby?
Maybe it's because you wore a tutu.
What?
That's a joke. Because, that's why you're crazy, because you wore a tutu.
A tutu? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. Just something.
I've never worn a tutu in my life.
Exactly, but
I don't even know what a tutu is. It's like a skirt, right?
For ballet, yeah, with the big little frills, So if you wore that in just in normal things, people might think you're crazy.
What's that? Phil Leotardo is like granddaughter or something. She's like, actually, a tutu is for classic.
No, a leotard.
Leotardo
is for modern. Tutu is ballet or something.
Oh yeah. And now it's a costume for ballet. They called it because their name was Leonardo, but they changed it to Leotardo.
Because they're stupid. That's why.
Because they're stupid. That's why. No more, Butchie. No more.
Just a joke.
Leotardo. Yeah. So I liked Otis and Riddle. I thought that was the best match that we saw tonight. It was good.
It was like the only match we saw tonight.
It was the only real wrestling match of the show. It opened. It didn't open the show, but it was the first match of the night. We did have to sit through another Riddle and Randy Orton backstage promo talking just nonsense.
They gotta boost the mics and the backstage promos. It sounds very mumbly. Everybody's promos are mumbly. Rhea and Nikki's are mumbly. RK Bros is mumbly. Vince can barely hear.
You got to turn up the volume real high on Vince. I don't understand what he's saying.
You can hear his blazer hitting against his microphone too.
Yeah.
But they gotta boost because I couldn't understand what Randy and Riddle were saying, and they just kept talking.
I didn't like it. Whatever I heard, bits and pieces of that promo, and I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I mean, I'm just done with those two talking to each other. I'm done with this goofy Riddle gimmick. I'm done with RK Bro. It's so dumb. It's not funny, and they just keep hammering away at this dumb Riddle character and Randy being embarrassed and telling. It's just the shtick is done. It's done. I'm done with this. And there's only so much attention I could pay to these promos. It's bad. But Riddle in the ring is still solid. That's the thing. At least he hasn't gone full goofy, full idiot in the ring. At least he's still somewhat respectable as a wrestler. It's just these promos at this point, he's coming off so dumb and just I know it's supposed to be funny, but it's so far from funny, it hurts. It's really bad. And Randy he's bad in them too. The way he delivers his lines.
Oh yeah, he had a real whopper.
It's some of the worst cringy comedy that the WWE's ever done. It's awful.
That's saying a lot.
You know what? Randy Orton's not funny. How about that? How about that for starters? Randy Orton is not a comedic gimmick. No. Keep Randy serious. Randy serious is good. Sinister Randy, evil Randy, lazy Randy, pretty Randy. All those Randy versions work. Happy, goofy, joking Randy. Get the fuck out of here, man. Who wants to see that? It was terrible. It's terrible.
And they're just, they're going to blow up and probably wrestle one-on-one at WrestleMania. That feels like a foregone conclusion. That Randy will just eventually have enough, or I'm hoping Riddle would do it too. But or do you think they'll be champions through Mania?
No, I hope they break up by Mania. Come on, it's enough. But they might just keep going with this because
if they sell T-shirts,
they must think that this is good. Somebody must be thinking this is good because they keep writing the same type of promos each and every week. They've kept them champions. They keep putting them on TV. They're one of the featured acts of Raw, right? They're on the show every week. They're the tag team champions. They're there. They talk every week. It's a promo every week, and it's just
At
every
least
week.
one.
It gets worse. It gets worse every week.
Yeah, the stuff about the Blazer.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I can't anymore with these guys. I'm done. But Riddle had the best match of the night, and he lost. And that's another thing. Riddle is just being buried in this. When Riddle started with Randy, we thought, this guy could win the Royal Rumble. Like, this guy could be a main event star here in WWE. His trajectory, his gimmick, he wasn't full on stupid and goofy.
No.
Like, he was kind of like, hey man, oh bro, but he had like a serious side. He wasn't fully dumb. Now he's just an idiot. He's like a goof. He's a full on idiot.
Speaks a lot more slowly.
Yes. And before he was with Randy, he actually looked pretty good. He beat Randy, right? Then he goes with Randy, and now he's Randy's idiot sidekick, and he's just treated like an idiot, and he loses all of his matches, and he gets himself into trouble. Like, he goes and attacks Omos, and Randy's like, don't attack Omos, he's really big. And then Riddle goes and attacks him, and he gets beat up, and Randy, like, doesn't even try to save him because he's like, oh, I told you, you stupid guy, you're so dumb, I can't believe I hang out with you. You know, and like, Randy has to come save Riddle all the time. Even after this match, Otis beats Riddle with an incredible pop-up World's Strongest Slam. It was amazing. Like, he tossed him up in the air, caught him, slammed him down. Incredible. Otis is so damn good. It is a shame that he wrestles for this stupid wrestling company, because any other place in the world, this guy would be a main event star. I'm talking AEW, New Japan, Impact. I don't care
God, the
where.
matches they could have.
Him in New Japan would be insane. Like, if he went to Japan, he'd be a top guy easily. The guy is like the second coming of Vader, but he's maybe more legitimate because Vader was like a football guy and Otis is a wrestler. But
And he could cut a better promo.
I mean, Vader's definitely a little taller than Otis, but my God, is Otis a monster. Like, he's got that intimidating look. You know, he used to have the beard and the long hair, and I thought that worked for him really well. But now this new look and his face, and he's just mean, and the way he wrestles, he is a badass. He's a legitimate, believable badass. And the WWE and all these marks are always talking about, you know, these real athletes that get trained to be wrestlers, and that's what you should be looking for. Well, that's exactly what Otis is. He was signed as a real athlete. He was taught to wrestle by the Performance Center, and now he's on TV. And for some reason, that's not good enough for the WWE. He's a freaking monster, and if you see him walking down the street or in an airport or whatever, like they're always saying, you spot him and you say, who is that guy? What is that guy?
Whoa.
No one looks like Otis. He is a freak. He is a monster. And the WWE treats him like some old jabroni. He's legitimate. He's got a real wrestling background. He moves like a cat. He is fantastic in the ring. He's 29 years old and just getting better and better and better. And him and Gable, I thought at one point would be main eventing WrestleManias. Like, when I first saw him with Jason Jordan in American Alpha, killing it, having the greatest matches in professional wrestling, I thought, well, Gable is clearly a step above wrestling talent, and the WWE will recognize this because he's in their developmental and he's a real athlete. He went to the Olympics for wrestling. Of course, he's the next Kurt Angle. They're going to make him into the next Kurt Angle. And
it was working.
And they didn't. And they didn't whatsoever.
In NXT, it was working.
Like, Jason Jordan was a guy with no personality, needed a tag team partner with some charisma. Here comes Chad Gable, charisma out the ass, can wrestle as good as Jordan, if not better. And you're like, okay, well, there's nothing missing here. Of course, it was height that was missing, and hence the Shorty G gimmick that he was strapped with for a while. Now, thankfully, he's back to being Chad Gable, but I don't know. I don't know how much they're really going to do with these guys. They seem to lose a lot. Thankfully, tonight, they won. A rare win for Otis beating Riddle. But, if they get a tag team title shot, I just don't see it happening. Even though these guys are incredibly real, incredibly good, and just believable in their role. Just so believable. Randy tried to RKO Otis after the match, but Otis was having none of it. Pushed Randy off of him, which of course led Randy into Gable and hit the RKO on him very easily because Gable's just a jabroni, even though in a real fight, I think Gable would probably turn Randy into a pretzel, right?
Love to see that.
I mean, it's not as egregious tonight, Gable taking the RKO from Randy. Remember last week when Dominic Mysterio's skinny ass pinned his shoulders to the mat for a 3 count? Olympic wrestler Chad Gable had his shoulders pinned to the mat clean last week by skinny ass Baby Ray Dominic Mysterio, which is just an affront to wrestling as a whole. It's an insult to professional wrestling. It's an insult to wrestling. It's an insult to the history of the business. It's just disgusting. It's shameful. It should have never happened. Of course, Gable here takes the RKO from Randy. Less offensive, but still, to me, slightly offensive. Yeah. Otis then hits Randy, though, with a back elbow. Randy bumps and rolls out of the ring. So Otis and Gable did look strong tonight. They look strong, which I liked. I like seeing them look good. I'm a huge fan of both of these guys. The fact that Otis had his money in the bank stripped away by a piece of shit jabroni like The Miz is just awful. And it just shows you what the WWE is all about. They're not about legit, tough guys that can wrestle, that can work, that look like beasts. They're about pretty boy Hollywood guys that can go on Dancing with the Stars and, have reality shows and shit like that. They're more interested in a guy like Miz, who's phony as hell, whose work looks like shit, who's been wrestling for 20 years and still hasn't had really anywhere close to a good match.
No. I'm hard pressed to think what's the best Miz match.
I don't know. Probably when he wrestled Bryan Danielson at some point.
Probably like one of those matches.
I think it was probably a Daniel Bryan match because, that's the best he's going to do. Get carried into a match with Daniel Bryan when Bryan cares because he hates The Miz and he wants to have a good match. I think that's probably Miz's best match, one of those Bryan matches. Miz is awful. But I'm seeing people on the chat want to know my thoughts on the Miz promo. We'll get to it. Doug Hepburn says Miz is his guilty pleasure of wrestling. 2022 Hall of Famer. I don't think so.
I mean, he probably will be a Hall of Famer
not this year
because of all the accolades they give him, but not this year.
Yeah.
That was just a gag.
Doug also loves serious pissed off Otis. So do I. I think he's amazing.
Because he's a guy who wouldn't want to piss off in real life.
No, he's scary. Imagine that guy coming after you. You'd be fucked.
Yeah.
You'd be fucked. Otis comes after you. What are you going to do? When Randy went after Otis, I'm like, I don't know if that's such a good idea, Randy. You see how thick that dude is?
He's gonna doing.
And he knows what you see how powerful he is? Tossing Riddle up in the air, catching him, slamming him. Like, whoa. When he did that, I was like, damn. That's like Mark Henry level strength. But he moves like Gable. You know what I mean? He's crazy. They had something with Otis, And he could do the stuff with Mandy Rose. He's got so many layers. He could do the comedy. He could do the romance storyline. He could
be a weirdo.
He could be scary, in his current role. He's got so many layers. He's such a good wrestler. I don't understand why they're not doing more with Otis. I really, the more you look at him and the more you think about all the things that he brings to the table, the more you wonder, what the fuck are they missing here?
Yeah.
He's so good. And every time I see him, I'm like, God, I fucking love this guy. And I've loved watching him for years now.
Ever since Heavy Machinery.
I loved Heavy Machinery. I like Tucky.
Yeah.
I like Tucky even.
But Otis was just always a clear standout.
You could tell, man. The guy's, you know what he's got?
It.
He's got it. And WWE has forgot. It's like they have it blinders on. It's like they can't see it anymore. They used to be able to see a guy and be like, that guy, he's got the it factor. Now they have no idea. Otis is a star. Otis is a big star.
Yeah.
God damn.
They had that. Yeah, they had that with so many guys. You know, they had it with Rusev. They had it.
But Otis, I think, even more so. More than Rusev. Like, because he's got that legit background, too.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he moves, like, it's more wrestling, you know? Like, he's smoother. His transitions, his throws, his suplexes, they're smooth because he understands that body manipulation. His muscles aren't from lifting weights, they're from tossing humans around. And that's a different type of athlete. Mm-hmm. An athlete that is an amateur wrestler has a different type of strength and a different skill set that they bring into professional wrestling as opposed to a bodybuilder or a football player or whatever. An athlete that's an amateur wrestler understands that body manipulation, understands how to move and transition from, position to position and move to move. It's a different type of skill set, and it's something that you can't really pick up unless you've been wrestling, real wrestling, for a very long time, like Otis, like Gable, like Angle, like a lot of these guys, even Ziggler. When you see him move, it's a different type of movement. The transitions are a lot smoother from hold to hold because they know how to do it for real. And especially some of these big guys like Otis, and like a Brock Lesnar, you see how Brock suplexes people. You see how Brock is so smooth, the way he tosses people around. There's a lot of big, like Braun Strowman is every bit as big, every bit as strong as Brock Lesnar. But
so
his
clunky.
But his movements, his throws, his suplexes, like, come on, right? Like, you can't compare. It's nowhere near the level of a Brock Lesnar because Brock comes from that legitimate background. And Otis has that, and you can't teach that. You can't. And you can't teach that. But
it's the realest guy in the room.
Big Cass didn't have that.
No,
7
God.
feet tall, but, Omos doesn't have that. You have a lot of big guys.
Commander Aziz.
You have a lot of these big guys, but just because you're big and strong doesn't mean you could throw men around with ease. It's a different type of skill set. God, all right. I'm going to stop with the Otis thing because I think I've beat it into the ground, but I think you all know how I feel about Otis at this point. I fucking love him. I think he's great.
If we feel like Rusev, was like mismanaged in WWE, Otis is not going to even have close to the career Rusev had. He's not going to get a WrestleMania match with John Cena or anything like that.
I mean, they at one point had a lot of faith in them. They gave him the Money in the Bank. I thought it was too early. Maybe one day. I mean, like you said, he's 29 years old. Who knows? In 5 years, he'll be 34. Like, who knows? Maybe he'll be a champion. Maybe he'll be a world champion. Like, I don't know. In 5 years' time, when Otis is like 34, 35, Roman will be in his 40s. You know what I mean? Like, the business will change.
Stevenson.
Gable Stevenson will be around. Gable Stevenson was there. Not to mention, Otis also from Minnesota. Gable also from Minnesota. They got the win tonight in St. Paul, Minnesota. So that was a big moment. Minnesota wrestlers. Again, like some of the best wrestlers in the history of the business are from Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
Otis. Brock Lesnar.
Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect. The Road Warriors.
Ric Flair.
Vern Gagne, right? I mean, just the list goes on and on. Yeah, the Nature Boy. I mean, there's so many great wrestlers that come from Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and name them for hours. Like, there's so many. It's ridiculous. Barry Darsow. You know what I mean? Like, so many of the guys came from Minnesota, and Otis and Gable are this next generation, and you would think that the WWE would be like, damn, these are some real old school Minnesota wrestlers. Let's do it. Like, yeah, this is what we do. But they kind of, they'll have them around, but they'll not be featured that well. Still, Big win for Otis tonight. That's why it's such a big win for Otis. He beat Riddle on TV. It's like, damn, he actually won. All right, let's get to that Miz thing. People want us to talk about Miz and Edge. Maurice comes out to host Miz TV. Maurice, in her all-white outfit, comes out, tells the people that they're not used to seeing a woman like her, and they don't know what a real man looks like, because Maurice is a heel, right? She's saying, you guys are not as pretty as me and my husband
all
Miz.
the guys who, ladies who want to be me, and all the guys who come to see me.
Sable.
Exactly. Same thing.
Then the Miz comes out. Of course, he's the guest for Miz TV, and he says that he should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And they play a Miz Hall of Fame, Miz career retrospective video package deal. And, I think Miz doing this because he's feuding with Edge, and Edge is in the Hall of Fame, so Miz is trying to put himself on an even kind of level with Edge. They have a big match at day one. This is just part of the build. They thought, Edge is in the Hall of Fame. Miz is so conceited, he should say that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, right? So that was the point of that. Honestly, I think Maurice goes into the Hall of Fame before Miz because Maurice is retired, and I think that they will probably put her in the Hall of Fame at some point because they like Maurice, and she had a decent career. Edge comes out and tells the Miz that he's insecure and he's afraid of him. Miz throws champagne on Edge and attacks him. Edge then fights back, hits Miz with the DDT, goes for a spear, but Miz puts Maurice in front of him as a human shield. Edge stops, doesn't spear Maurice, of course, which allows Miz to push Maurice out of the way, hit the skull-crushing finale on Edge, and stand tall. But, of course, Maurice, his wife, not happy that she was used as a human shield, and she slaps the Miz, her husband, her real-life husband, and leaves the ring.
I feel like Miz has done this kind of thing before.
Yeah, I think he used to do this with Maurice a lot, and I think that they were kind of discussing that. Like, Miz is like, what? This is what we do. This is what happens. And Maurice is like, yeah, but I have 2 kids now. She told him, she's like, I have 2 kids now.
I can't be taking bumps.
I can't be doing this. I can't be taking bumps like this. So there was like a discussion in the ring there, and then Maurice slapped him when Miz didn't understand, and Maurice left. And I don't think this is anything more than a way to write Maurice off. Like, we saw Maurice and the Miz come out together a few weeks ago. Last week, Miz told the Memphis crowd that Maurice doesn't come to Memphis. It wasn't important enough for her. She comes out here to Minnesota, but I don't think this is a full-time deal for Maurice. So this was just a way to write off Maurice from being Miz's full-time manager for the time being. And maybe a way to turn her babyface so that when she does get inducted into the Hall of Fame, she'll get cheered and not booed because she's Miz's manager and she cheated Edge out of something, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. I really think that there's they talked about the Hall of Fame because they are aiming towards putting Maurice in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's what I took from it. Like, oh, okay, Maurice getting written off here, and maybe if they do decide to put Maurice in the Hall of Fame, this is a good way to keep her babyface so she gets cheered.
Yeah, and she did have like a decent enough career. I think she was the Divas champion for like over 200 days or something. Like, it was a record that stood for a while. I think before AJ broke it. AJ Lee, I think, broke that record, or Nikki Bella, one of those. But like, I know, and like, sure, she didn't defend it too much, but she probably defended it most pay-per-views, like quick 5-minute match with Eve Torres or Beth Phoenix or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to say that Maurice is Bret the Hitman Hart or Trish Stratus or, any great wrestler of the past, but she was passable. She had a character. She had a gimmick. She is remembered. People know her. She is a famous wrestler, and it is the Hall of Fame. She is long retired, but still people remember her.
She's still part of the WWE family.
Yeah, that's it. She's still in good with the company. I would not be surprised to see Maurice inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, whether or not they do it in 2022, who knows? But it would make sense for them to have kind of brought up the Hall of Fame now and eventually induct Maurice. I could see that. But, again, they don't have to be in any kind of rush to induct Maurice or other people that they could induct ahead of her. I do see
It's
a
the thing with
question.
Halls of Fame that, like, have to have, like, a huge class every year. Like, eventually you kind of, like...
Everybody gets in.
Your shelf kind of gets a little bare. You know, you can't have super headliners and, like, super stacked lineups. You know, I think that's what happes.
Yeah, very few.
Then you start scraping the... It's like, oh, okay, maybe Maurice.
How about Maurice? How about
the primetime players?
Hey, you guys...
Titus O'Neil is probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
For sure he'll be a Hall of Famer. Hey, you guys remember No Way Jose? We're putting him in the Hall of Fame this year. Yeah.
Adam Rose.
Ryback, come on down. You're in the Hall of Fame.
Big, Ryback soul.
Like, honestly, they'll probably put Ryback in the Hall of Fame in like 20 years when he's like an old man.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, I remember Ryback? He was kind of a star for a bit.
And he'll cut like an old man rambling promos like, I was better than Cena. And like young fans will be like, who is this guy saying he's better than Cena?
They're going to put Bray Wyatt in the Hall of Fame next year.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Just do it. Put everybody in the Hall of Fame.
Chris Jericho in the Hall of Fame.
Well, that would make sense. Like, eventually.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, a little forbidden door. That's what they got to do.
We're so desperate to book Kenny Omega, we're going to put him in our Hall of Fame. No, I don't think so.
No, Kenny.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think anybody and everybody could be in the Hall of Fame at some point. Omos is a future Hall of Famer. You know, who knows? I mean, you look up and down this roster, right? Most of these people are going to be put in the Hall of Fame. MVP, Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, probably, if he doesn't go to AEW and have a lot of success. Seth Rollins, of course, will be in the Hall of Fame unless he does something horrible. Big E will be in the Hall of Fame. I know he won't do anything horrible. He's a good man. Seth, I don't trust so much. Randy Orton, of course, will be in the Hall of Fame. Riddle, probably not yet. Otis and Gable, probably not yet. Maybe one day. Bianca Belair is going into the Hall of Fame already. Like, she debuted a month ago. She's in the Hall of Fame. Like, they've already built her to the point where it's like, yeah, they'll probably put her in the Hall of Fame one day.
The EST in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know if Doudrop gets in the Hall of Fame. We'll see what her career... Becky Lynch, of course, is going to the Hall of Fame. Liv Morgan will for sure be in the Hall of Fame.
She's a lock.
Liv Morgan is a for sure Hall of Famer.
First ballot.
I mean, she might be, though. You look at the card and you're like, I mean, they'll probably get around to putting Liv Morgan in the Hall of Fame one day.
Or the Riots. That's probably the Riot
she's
Squad.
The only Riot Squatter they kept, so they like her at least, right? AJ Styles, for sure, he'll go in the Hall of Fame. Omos, probably not. Dana Brooke is going in the Hall of Fame. Reginald, for sure, Hall of Fame. R-Truth, Hall of Fame.
R-Truth for sure.
Definitely not Tozawa.
I want Vince to induct R-Truth.
Not Tozawa. Tamina will go in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, God.
For sure, 100%. Dolph Ziggler will be in the Hall of Fame. Robert Roode will never get in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why. He just won't. Finn Balor is already in the Hall of Fame. For sure, they'll put him in there. Damian Priest, never. Austin Theory, he's probably going to get fired next week. Nikki Ass will not be in the Hall of Fame. Rhea Ripley, already in the Hall of Fame. Zelina will be in the Hall of Fame. So will Carmella.
Yeah,
Carmella for sure is going to... She won the first Women's Money in the Bank. Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, baby.
Or if they bring back Enzo and Cass, for like a little having them cut a promo.
Yeah. Apollo Crews will not be in the Hall of Fame. Commander Aziz, though, for sure, already. Like,
oh, yeah.
He was Dabba-Kato on Raw Underground. I mean, come on, bro.
He's got strong Batista vibes.
That's Hall of Fame. Maurice, Hall of Fame. Miz, Edge. Like, everybody on this show is going to go in the Hall of Fame. And this is a terrible show. You got like 12 Hall of Famers. Corey Graves, of course. That Jimmy guy they have, whoever else, the third guy. Byron Saxton, Hall of Fame. For sure. But like, there's so many people on this show that you're like, yeah, they'll probably put them in the Hall of Fame. And the show still just sucks. Awful. It's just so bad. So bad. The Miz and Maurice thing, whatever. Mm-hmm. I did see a question from Silent by Deadly asking us if we heard about the Blood Hunter incident. Is it okay if I mention this, or I'm only supposed to talk about Raw? We could talk about it if you guys want to know my thoughts, because I know the guy. I know Blood Hunter.
I've seen the footage.
You've seen the footage?
Yeah.
Do you know who Blood Hunter is?
It's Hannibal.
It's Devin Nicholson.
Yeah.
He's a Canadian guy. I know him. Like, I know him I've spoken to him several times. I know the guy. I'm not surprised this happened. I'm not surprised. I don't want to say anything bad about the guy, but he's a character, you know? Like, if you know anything about him, you ever seen him, he's a character, and sometimes, like, I think he takes things a little too far, maybe. I don't know.
Got a little bit of that Jeremy Strong in him.
Who?
The guy from Succession.
Oh,
a
okay,
little bit of
okay.
that intensity.
Yeah, no.
I lived the part.
Well, you said because he's a good friend. I mean, I don't know how close they are now, but I know my buddy Jeremy Prophet.
Yeah,
like
Jeremy.
He was booked on a lot of Hannibal shows. Hannibal ran a lot of shows in Canada, and Jeremy was booked on a lot of those shows.
Like a show on Hannibal TV or something.
Yeah, at some point he was around there, Hannibal. So like I'm friends with Jeremy, and Jeremy's was friends with Hannibal. I think he still is friends with Hannibal. And I'm aware of Hannibal, and I know about he's had different controversies in the past, the Abdullah the Butcher thing, where Abdullah gave him hepatitis, and
got a lot of sympathy for
just
that.
like Hannibal is just like he's one of these wild characters in pro wrestling. The first time I ever met him, he was being wheeled on a stretcher through a locker room straight to the ambulance, and he was the promoter of the show. So like the show's, I think, still going on. But the guy in charge was gone because he had to go because Abdullah the Butcher bludgeoned him with like a fork. Yeah. Abdullah did a number on Hannibal, and the first time I actually met him, I'd met him before the bludgeoning, and then the next time I saw him, he was being like wheeled out into an ambulance, and it was like gory. It was bad. I was standing there with Jeff Jarrett, like, oh my God. And then I was like, Jeff, J-A-R-R-E-T-T. And he's like, that's right. That's how I spell my name, son. Please leave me alone. I was like, all right.
Slapnuts.
Sorry, Slapnuts.
But it was a shoot? Because for those who don't know.
Yeah, okay. So, we should explain what happened if you don't know. So,
he's in a match with Carlito?
Hannibal was in a match with Carlito. The match ended. And there was a ref, and now apparently this is an account from another referee that was there saying that the ref that Hannibal attacked was supposed to blade, like he was supposed to bleed, but he couldn't get the blood going or he couldn't get the cut going, so Hannibal takes some sort of spike that he had and starts jabbing the guy in the head.
Like maybe something to like keep the ring in position or something? Like some kind of...
No, it was some sort of weapon that somebody in the promotion uses, I think. I think maybe Kevin Sullivan is involved in this promotion.
Yeah, I heard his name about in this incident. There's something about Kevin Sullivan saying like get him or something, or like you do it the hard way or something.
Yeah.
He was like at ringside maybe. Hard to tell.
I don't know exactly what happened, but from the video, it's grainy footage. It's not great, but Hannibal is like, he seems to be just bludgeoning this dude in the head with a spike, and there's tons of blood, and he seems like he's unconscious. Hannibal seems to choke him out maybe first, and it's hard to tell what's really going on. Is the ref selling what's happening exactly because the angle of the camera, it's not clear what's really going on. But from all accounts, this was real, and Hannibal really did kind of take it a step too far, like New Jack style, really stabbing a guy in the head, which is never something you want to see in pro wrestling. But I never know what to believe, because Hannibal is the type of guy who does these kind of work shoot type things, and he likes to stage things to look real, to get attention, which is part of the wrestling business. I remember he did a thing with Terry Funk where he fought Terry Funk at a press conference, and it looked real and people thought it was real, but it wasn't. It was all part of the show.
So he's just doing like super kayfabe, you think, potentially?
I don't think so. It looked pretty bad.
Getting a lot of heat that if this was getting tons of heat, he would come out and be like, guys, this was part of the show. Like the ref and him would be like,
yeah. I don't know. I think maybe there's some part of him that's saying it was part of the show. I'm not really sure what he's saying in his defense of the whole incident, but it was ugly. It's never something you want to see, even if it was planned.
It was real blood.
Even if this was part of the show and the ref was in on it, it's still not something I want to see. I get he's the blood hunter and everything, but stabbing a guy in the head repeatedly to the point where you see the guy has got a GoFundMe page, the referee, to pay for his medical bills, which sucks. And his head is it's a mess. It looks really bad, and there was a lot of blood. I just don't know why you do a thing like that. I don't understand what the storyline reason would be to do something that grotesque and gory. I understand that's part of his gimmick as the Blood Hunter, but this seemed like more than necessary. So yeah, I don't like it on those grounds. Like, even if this isn't a shoot, even if this is a full-on work, I don't like it. But if it is a shoot, then it's a crime, right? So if it's a shoot and you stab a guy for real and he didn't know you were going to stab him in the head repeatedly, well, that's a crime, and you should probably go to jail or whatever, right? Like, that's it's not something you shouldn't be stabbing guys. Shouldn't be stabbing guys. That's basically the point. Stabbing guys, no bueno.
I don't think there's going to be, any investigations into this.
It didn't seem like they were gonna arrest Hannibal for any of this. So I don't know how this is all gonna shake out for him.
I imagine he'd tell police if it was a work.
Yeah, I think maybe they were trying to tell the cops it was a work so he didn't get arrested. That's the story I heard. But, I don't know. This all happened in Texas. I know Hannibal.
Oh, Texas.
Hannibal is Canadian. I don't know. Maybe he comes back to Canada and waits till this all blows over and sees how it turns out. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work for Hannibal, but it seemed ugly, and I hope the referee is all right. Doug Hepburn saying, some say Carlito ended early for safety as Hannibal was drunk. I don't know about that. That's an account that I heard. One of the referees wrote like a long post, and that kind of made the rounds.
On Reddit, I saw it.
Yeah, you saw that, right? Like, the referee kind of giving his account as to what happened, saying Hannibal was maybe inebriated as he walked into the ring, and he knew something was up, but I don't know. But a lot of people have different stories about Hannibal, and I definitely have been around the guy, and it's tough. Like, you don't want to say anything bad about a guy because, I like Devin. I like Devin Nicholson. Has always been a good guy to me, nice guy, friendly, gentleman, badass guy. Like, I like him. But
and wrestling is a messy business.
But
that sometimes attracts the excessive.
But the thing is, I like the guy, but I've seen him do things in wrestling that make me kind of go, man, I don't know. Is that the way? I like my interactions with him are fine. It's like John Jones. My interactions on a personal level with John Jones, very good. The shit I see him do, his actions, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I met John Jones
for that guy.
I met John Jones one time. I have a great John Jones story. He gave me his hat. He was very friendly, super cool guy. Gave me an interview. Didn't have to.
It was before he achieved crazy fame.
Yeah, just before he achieved crazy fame. But still, he was really nice. He did something for me that he didn't have to do. He gave me an interview when he didn't have to, and he asked me to do it. And it was a nice thing. He was a nice guy, John Jones. And, it was a nice conversation. And I liked him, and he was a cool guy, and he won. And at that point, we didn't know about all the things that he was doing. I'm not saying Hannibal's doing those things, but, it's that type of situation where sometimes you have personal interactions with people, and you like them. But then you see some of the actions that they do, on YouTube or whatever, and you're like, oh, that's not something that I would do. I don't know if I would co-sign that, but you don't want to disown the guy. Yeah, I can't fully disown him
or say he's a bad person.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a bad person. I would not say that he's a bad person. But maybe something happened and he snapped, or he thought he was doing the right thing when he wasn't, or maybe he was doing the right thing. I don't really know enough about what was going on there. I don't want to defend the guy, because it seemed like he committed a pretty violent, heinous act on an unsuspecting referee, and that disappoints me. You know, it disappoints me to see the guy I know do things like that, because it's like I'm rooting for him. You know, I was rooting for him at a time to succeed and have success in pro wrestling, and I like to see his YouTube channel doing so well. You know, I didn't love all the content on his YouTube channel, but I did like to see him doing well and having success. I was like, wow, look, Hannibal's becoming famous in pro wrestling. You know, he wanted to do it as a wrestler, but it seems like he was doing it as a YouTube guy, right? And still doing his wrestling thing and all that. And I was happy to see him have success and grow as a performer and a personality in pro wrestling. But it seems to maybe have taken a dark turn, like a Dark Side of the Ring type of deal. So I don't know.
It could be the subject of one.
Yeah, maybe I'll be interviewed for Dark Side of the Ring one day.
Be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be cool. Probably not me, though. But Jeremy could definitely be interviewed for that. I mean, for sure. All right. Well, Hannibal, you know, I wish him the best, and I wish the referee the best, and I hope whatever goes on, everybody gets the help that they need, you know?
Very unfortunate.
Unfortunate.
Situation.
Yeah. Bianca Belair beat Doudrop tonight. A pinfall after a powerbomb. Beautiful powerbomb from Bianca and a 450 splash. Like, good match. Really
Solid.
good match.
That was solid.
I like the Bianca Doudrop match. That was my second favorite match next to Otis and Riddle. I thought Bianca looked great in this one. Powerbombing Doudrop, really impressive. I like Doudrop a lot. I think they both had a really good showing, and they're not done. And I'm not mad that they're not done, because Doudrop attacked Bianca Belair on the stage after the match. I was kind of confused. I was like, I thought Doudrop was still in the ring, but then she appeared from behind Bianca on the stage, and I was like, did she just...
She got teleportation powers.
Yeah. But no, she just she had left the ring, and then Bianca left the ring after her, and then Doudrop came back and attacked her.
Was the crowd chanting for Doudrop at the end there?
Yes, you could hear the crowd chant Doudrop, Doudrop after she had Doudropped Bianca on the stage.
Bianca has trouble garnering sympathy.
Well, when she comes out and on her Titantron it says she is the self-proclaimed strongest, smartest, and fastest, strongest, and smartest wrestler in all WWE. And you're like, do you like a person who tells you that they're the smartest person in the room, that they're the strongest, they're the I'm the best, I'm better than you in every aspect of the game, love me? It's like, well, be humble, you know? Like Kendrick Lamar said, be humble. Like, it's just, it's not lovable when you come out and you're like, I'm smartest, I'm the fastest, I'm the strongest, and it's not fair. People keep cheating me out of wins. Like, it's really a hard character to get behind.
Yeah, because usually in like major sports, these kinds of figures are the villains of the sports. You know, like the ones you don't want to win. Like, nobody wants to see Tom Brady win a Super Bowl, or Sidney Crosby win, or Derek Jeter back in the day. They were like the central point. Like Bianca,
because they're so good.
Exactly. So Bianca, you know, kind of being like, I'm the best. It's like, then you draw that heat as being like the number one kind of villain.
Like LeBron James.
LeBron James. People want to see him lose.
Yeah. And I don't want to see him lose. I want to see him win because I like seeing greatness.
But I like seeing great. No, I know, but a lot of people like.
Yeah. I know what you mean, but just with
me, when like he wins, it makes sense.
Well, that's it. It's just like, oh yes, that's logical. Yeah. But just with Bianca as a babyface character.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to get behind her. And then Doudrop, she seems more sympathetic. She was very sympathetic with Eva Marie. They're trying to turn her heel by going against Bianca, but I think there's a segment of the audience that's cheering for Doudrop. Who's more relatable to the WWE audience, Doudrop or Bianca?
Yeah.
You know? It's not that many people in the WWE audience that are the strongest, fastest, and smartest in every room that they walk into.
No.
Not many people in life. And Bianca may be that, you know?
Yeah.
And she's very impressive. She may be the
accomplished.
She is the strongest. She is the fastest. Maybe she is the smartest, although her promos, you know, would say otherwise. But it's not that sympathetic. It's not that relatable.
Yeah.
Doudrop is more relatable.
She wears a leather jacket.
She's overweight. Most of us are, right? Come on. Everybody's got a couple extra pounds on them. Not everybody can be Finn Balor over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
I like my burgers.
The average American population, Canadian population, probably slightly overweight, right? A little body fat. Bianca's got no body fat. No. Dewdrop, she's a little... She looks good, beautiful. She's a beautiful lady. But, she's a full-figured gal.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying, I think she's more relatable to the audience. Because I think most of us see Dewdrop and say, yeah, she's like us. And you see Bianca and you're like, wow, she's a super athlete. Mm-hmm. I'm not a super athlete.
It's like if Jade Cargill were a babyface.
Well, that's it. Jade Cargill's a fantastic heel because she's like amazing looking and strong and just impressive physically, and you're like, yeah, that's a cool heel. And then you love her for it.
It's a similar gimmick. It's a similar gimmick to Bianca, now that I think about it.
Yeah. It's weird, though. I like Jade doing it because I think she's such a cool heel. But Bianca as a babyface, like maybe you turn Bianca heel and then people will start cheering for her, but that's not... Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing, that whole cocky heel. And a lot of people do boo Jade Cargill, though. A lot of people hate Jade Cargill.
A lot of people hate her.
I don't know about that. Yeah. I love Jade Cargill. I love Bianca, too. I think Bianca is great. I just understand why the audience is cheering for Dewdrop. I understand why when you have Bianca versus Dewdrop, you might be rooting for Dewdrop because I think Dewdrop is great too. I think they're both fantastic. I think they had a great match, but I think Dewdrop as a babyface and Bianca as the heel maybe makes more sense in this story. But that's not where they're going. They're hell-bent on keeping Bianca as one of their top babyfaces. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat says, Dave, we all know you will be on the AJ Dark Side episode.
Boy.
Oh, man, I don't want to be on that. I hope we don't have that. I mean, that would mean it would be a bad ending for AJ and the AJ DeLessio story.
Yeah. Like, what could happen?
Dave keeps picking huge upsets and proving AJ wrong, and he finally goes completely bananas. Who knows?
I'm looking forward to the dramatic reenactments.
I don't know. Who would play AJ?
It's just got to have someone with his body type. They don't usually show the faces.
How about the guy that plays Junior Soprano? You know that guy?
Dominic Chianese.
Or
you talk about Corey Stoll from Many Saints of Newark.
No, not that guy. The guy who plays Junior Soprano in Sopranos, he'd be a really good AJ in the AJ DeLessio movie.
A bit old?
No. They're about the same age, I think. Oh, AJ. All right, so we had Dewdrop and Bianca. We had Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan's not giving up. Becky Lynch talking about beating Liv last week, and Liv shows Becky holding the bottom rope to win last week, and Becky says, I didn't do that because I had to. I did it because it was easy. It was just easy. It was there. Liv says the only thing Becky is the best at is cheating to win, and then Liv Morgan... or Becky earlier shows the angry girl from last week that was mad in the crowd. They showed there was a girl in the crowd, a little girl who was upset that Liv had lost, and she had like an angry face, kind of like Angry Miz girl back in the day when he won the title.
They also showed in the video package.
Yeah, for Miz.
So.
But they showed the angry girl there for Liv, and then Liv starts cutting this promo about, I'm here for all the little girls that were cheering for me, and I'm gonna get you, Becky Lynch, for all my young fans. And while she's cutting this promo in the aisleway, there is the angriest, loudest, right next to her, little girl who is a Becky Lynch fanatic. She has a Becky Lynch t-shirt on. She has a Becky Lynch doll. She has a Becky Lynch sign. Like, there's a doll in one hand. There is a sign in the other hand. She's got the t-shirt on, and she's right on the aisle, and she is booing the shit out of Liv Morgan. Too. She had the Becky belt. Like, she was decked out Becky Lynch super fan. This little girl, I mean, she looked like the angry Liv Morgan girl from last week, except this week she's completely transformed, and she's Becky's #1 fan, and she was giving it to Liv, booing her. Booing her. She was like, Becky,
Becky
rules!
Becky
rules! And you could hear her. You could hear this girl.
It was throwing Liv off, I think.
Yeah, Liv was like kind of thrown off.
Looking at her. Like.
She had this little Becky Lynch fan just heckling her throughout her promo. It was the best. That little girl made that promo for me. She was fantastic. I love little Becky Lynch fan. She was the best, and it was
totally
just
discredited everything Liv said.
Yeah, it made Liv look like shit because Liv is standing there like, I'm doing this for all the little girls. I'm going to show them what's right. Meanwhile, there's a little girl standing right next to you, booing you and saying, fuck you, Liv. I don't like you. I like Becky.
I don't care if she
Shut
cheated.
up. Yeah, I don't care. She's the man. You're a loser. Get out of my face. Like, she was so angry. She was like, boo, boo.
She had like a real
Becky,
scowl.
Like, she was mad at Liv Morgan. Like, mad.
She was marking
Shoot
out.
Mad.
I've been like that, like at that age. I remember being like that, like angry, like
she
John
was like
Cena.
11, 12, you know, like just pissed. She was losing it right behind Liv Morgan. It's all I can see. Boo, boo. Just giving it to Liv as Liv is saying, I'm here for all the little girls.
Yeah. And like she gets like choked up as she's saying it too. Like, those little girls.
Yeah, she's getting
look
emotional.
Up to me.
Yeah, they look up to me. It's like, no, they don't. They look up to Becky. Look, she's right behind you.
She's fantastic.
Liv just getting major heat for this little girl.
WWE could not write that kind of comedy.
No.
Like
no.
that's like
Oh, it's the funniest thing that they did all show, and it was completely unintentional.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan cutting that promo about doing it for the little girl last week and all the little girls out there to show them the way. Meanwhile, there's the biggest Becky Lynch fan in the world, 11-year-old girl standing right next to you, giving you the business. Boo, Becky!
I like to think as Becky was walking to the back, she gave that girl a high five.
Oh, yeah, for
like,
sure.
Thank you.
You see Becky lost a house show match or a dark match or some sort of match that was non-televised, and then she blamed a little girl in the front row for distracting her, and she's like, came up there, she's like, it's your fault.
That's great work.
Becky's the best. Becky's so good, man. She's just so comfortable. You know, she goes out there and she just has command of the audience. She knows how to do those in-ring promos. There's nobody on this show.
She doesn't mumble on hers.
There's nobody on this show that could go in the ring with a microphone and cut a promo like Becky Lynch. There's nobody.
Yeah.
There's nobody on this whole goddamn show, maybe not on this whole roster, that could command an audience and cut an interesting promo week in, week out with slight character developments every time. It doesn't have to be big things happening, but Becky is always developing, adding. She came out with a different outfit this week. She's feuding with Liv Morgan, but she keeps it interesting the whole time, and she owns the audience in the palm of her hand. She's brilliant.
And her reason for being like a heel against Liv is like legit. It's just, you know, I've worked really hard for this, and like I'm on top because I'm the best, you know, and you're not going to take that from me. Like it's not like it's something almost to root for her. It's like, yeah, Becky is the best when you think about it. Like it's, you know, like Becky's passion when Liv did that contract line. You know, Becky had like a line about like, you know, I'm on top because like I made it on top. Like
that's right.
I earned this spot, and no one can knock me off.
And Liv's lucky that she's still in the company, quite frankly, because she is not good on the microphone, in the ring. There is not much there for Liv Morgan. I'm not really sure why she has such a big fan base.
Twitter or something.
Doug Hepburn says, I think Liv has a lot of fans because she's attractive, but she doesn't cut the mustard. I mean,
There's a lot of attractive
There's a lot of
people
attractive women in the WWE
you know.
that don't seem to have the fan base of Liv Morgan. There does seem to be a lot of support for Liv. I think they just feel sorry for her. I think it's really a sympathy thing. She's a very sympathetic babyface. She walks out every week with those little makeup tears on her eyes. Like every week she looks like she's crying some sort of paint tears. Like, I don't really know what's happening with her, but you notice her makeup? She always has those, like, sparkly tears under each eye. She looks like she's crying every time she comes out, and then half the time she does actually cry. She's a sympathetic babyface. She loses all the time. She's crying about it. Sometimes she gets cheated out of her wins. You know, she's sympathetic, and I think that's really what it is. But I see her as less sympathetic and more just pathetic. Like, I see the Liv Morgan character as kind of sad, like, always bitching, always just like, you know, like, I'll never be the one, and I don't know who I am. And remember that promo she did? She's like, I don't know who I am. And it just makes you say, like, yeah, you won't. And I do this for all the people who don't know who they are either, and maybe I'll figure it out one day. And it's like, well, figure it out or don't. I'm not really interested.
I mean, you know, if you're okay, but, like, you know, I'm watching Raw here.
And the thing is, I don't believe her whole emo attitude. Like, it's an act. She's not this person that she's, you know, it's just not believable. She doesn't seem like she's really that sad in real life. I think she's just putting it on for wrestling. Anyways, Liv eventually does hit the ring and attack Becky. Liv wants a rematch at day one. Becky fights Liv, smashes her arm into the ring steps quite a few times, stomped her arm on the ring steps, kicked her arm on the ring steps. She did appear to try and drop kick the steps, but completely miss and just bump. Right? Yeah. Did you notice that? Becky, it was weird. She like went to drop kick the ring steps, and she seemed like she just kind of bumped.
Kind of slipped or something.
Yeah, it looks like she missed. I don't know. So Becky then says that Liv appears to have injured herself, so, you know, maybe she won't be able to make that match at day one, but if she does, she accepts. And Becky says now she's going to go home to train and hang out with her hot husband and her beautiful baby. So is Becky not going to be on Raw next week or the week after? I don't know why Becky said she's going home.
Christmas off.
She gets 2 weeks off for Christmas, and she doesn't come back until day one?
Could happen. I could see her maybe doing like a live via satellite promo.
Man, Raw is already pretty weak, and Becky is a highlight. 2 weeks of Raw without Becky? Ouch. I hope that she's not actually gone for 2 weeks, but she did say she was going to go home and train for day one. And that's... Like, we have 2 more episodes of Raw. They're in Milwaukee next week and Detroit the week after. And then we have day one on the 1st of January on that Saturday. It's a Saturday, by the way, the 1st of January.
Oh. Rare Saturday pay-per-view.
Yeah. So Becky and Liv Morgan is official for day one. We also had Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Big E in a fatal 4-way now for the WWE Championship made official for day one tonight on Raw. Also talking about Migos. They will be performing at WWE Day 1 in Atlanta. Can you name the 3 Migos?
I was about to ask, do you think I can?
I don't know if you can. They did say their names tonight on Raw.
I didn't hear that, but I bet you I could name.
All right.
You got your Quavo.
Quavo.
You got your Takeoff.
Takeoff.
And Offset.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
Offset's the one with Cardi B, right?
There you go. Wow.
Yeah, there you go.
That is some serious Migos knowledge. Yeah. Now, could you name a Migos song?
I mean, I'm trying to see if I can name one other than Bad and Bougie.
Oh, well, you got Bad and Bougie.
Ric Flair Drip, right? But
wow.
I mean, that's a bit of a softball.
That's a good one. I mean, you are.
I mean, they probably have some songs of questionable titles.
They got a lot of different songs. I feel like Migos, after the Culture album, you know, they did Culture 2, and it
like
was just
triple
not
album or something.
I feel like Migos are not anywhere near what they were
4 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, like they're not as popular as they were. I mean, when they put out that Culture album with Bad and Bougie on it, like that was really big, but now they're just kind of there. They exist, but
they haven't been able to really follow it up.
No, they're not that big anymore.
Just riding the steam of their first album.
Yeah, they're on their way to just being out of the game completely.
Or, you know, Quavo is going to be on some reality show or something.
Yeah, Love and Hip Hop.
Next rapper. Oh, yeah. He already has one.
No, I mean, that's the show that he would be on.
Okay. That's VH1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Migos.
Speaking of love, Dana Brooke and Reginald walking in a park together. They seem to be an item of sorts. They're talking about the 24/7 title that Dana holds. R-Truth and Tozawa appeared out of nowhere. They were in costumes and tried to do something. I don't know if they were trying to attack Dana Brooke and take the title off of her, but Reginald stopped them from doing whatever. And then Tamina tried to attack Dana Brooke, but Dana fought her off in this park that they were in. And then Dana and Reggie ran off, and then Tamina told Truth and Tozawa to stay out of her way. That happened tonight. AJ Styles interviewed backstage about Omos walking out on him last week after their tag team match. AJ says he's not ready to give up on the team. He doesn't want to give up on the Phenomenal One and his own personal Colossus. They were tag team champions before, and they can do it again. And then Omos shows up and puts his arm around AJ and says, all right, let's keep the team going. And that was it from them.
What's their friendship? What's the nature of their relationship?
Well, it seems strange. Why does
AJ
Styles
feel like he
owns him?
Owns him?
Well, he's his own personal Colossus.
Yeah. Does he consider him
Colossus?
property?
Whatever he calls him. Colossus.
I mean...
Yeah, well, it's weird that he says he's my... I
don't want to give him up.
Yeah, it's strange. It's definitely...
I don't think that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, but
fact what are they thinking?
Like, no one else has their own personal human. You know what I mean? AJ Styles has Omos, and Omos, who is Omos to AJ? He's his own personal Colossus. And this is a phrase that they've used many, many times when describing the relationship between AJ Styles and Omos. AJ's the leader or owner, and Omos is his own personal Colossus. AJ owns him, which is uncomfortable for a southern white gentleman to own a large African man
that he commands to do his bidding.
Yes, it is
violent acts.
Yeah, it's fucked. It's completely fucked. The fact that he is called his own personal anything is just feels wrong. It smells wrong. It's bad. It's bad, but hey, it's the WWE. They have no clue, you know?
Yeah.
They're just fucking tone deaf. The Dirty Dogs got a win over Finn Balor and Damian Priest. This led to something. Ziggler, Austin Theory shows up to distract Finn Balor because he started a thing with him last week. Ziggler actually hit the zigzag for the win on Finn Balor. So Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode beat Finn Balor and Damian Priest. We're talking a few weeks ago. When is the last time Ziggler hit his finisher and actually won a match? It had been a long time, and here it came tonight.
Yeah.
It's pretty shocking. Off a distraction from Austin Theory, but still. Big win for the Dirty Dogs.
With a Z.
Yes. And tonight was supposed to be the finals of the RK Bronament, right? Randy and Riddle had some sort of tag team tournament, and the finals were supposed to take place tonight between the Mysterios and the Street Profits, but WWE says that both teams are injured, and the match will happen, I think, next week or sometime in the future, so that's going on there. But Austin Theory distracted Finn Balor, so he goes back to Vince McMahon, and he's very proud of this, right? Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz are in Vince's office for some reason, and when Austin Theory shows up, Vince says, okay, you guys can leave. I have to talk to my friend here, Austin Theory.
Not his friend.
Not his friend. Vince says, hey, you think we're friends? We're not friends. Friends, what's friends? Expect the honest. I don't have friends. That was funny, right? Austin Theory shows up. He wants to show Vince a selfie he took with Finn. Vince tells Theory that maybe he wants a pat on the back or an audit, or maybe, what do you want? You want a pat on the back? You want a trophy? Maybe you want my autograph on a doily. And I'm like, who says doily? Of course he's super old talking about doilies. What the hell is a doily anyways?
A doily is like it's like a little napkin for tea. It's like cloth. And it's got the little frilly edges.
Yeah. That's what I thought. You want my autograph on a doily, pal? It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Vince tells Theory that, look, we're not friends. I don't know what you're thinking. We're friends. We're not friends. I don't even have friends because I don't want friends, which I've heard is true. Like, I've heard Vince doesn't have friends, and he doesn't really want friends. He just has, people that he works with. Because he's working. Like, he works all the time. I don't think Vince really has friends. And that's like very weird thing, but I think it's true. I think that was real Vince talking there. And Vince says he's going to use a deadly weapon on Austin Theory. And you're like, what the fuck is he going to do? He pulls out something from his desk, and it's, of course, a pencil. And Vince is like, no, this isn't the pencil. It's the eraser. I'm going to use that on you. And I was like, oh, okay. He's getting rid of him. Because traditionally, in old school wrestling speak, the eraser, the pencil, is the booker. The booker has the pencil. And if he erases you, he's getting rid of you. He is eliminating you from the stories. You are being erased. You are penciled in, and the booker can erase you. And Vince, of course, is the booker, ultimately. So he's saying he's going to erase Austin Theory. And I think that that's a shoot, too. I think Austin Theory will not be on Raw for a while. Maybe never again. Maybe he's getting fired.
Go back to NXT.
Like, I don't know if this is going to work out here with Austin Theory. I think this was an experiment. Vince has decided that it's run its course, and I think he's done with him. Like, I think when he said he's going to use the eraser on him, I think he meant it, and I think it means that we don't see Austin Theory again for a while on Raw. Maybe ever again.
So weird.
Like that is
so Vince also.
Isn't that your impression of it, though?
It is, but also, like, it's just so Vince to be like,
yep.
Okay, I want to feature this guy. So I'm going to have him be in promos with me, like 3 segments for like 3 weeks. And then Vince is like, you know what?
I don't like this guy.
I'm tired of sitting here listening
it's
to
not
you.
Working.
So you know what? Just go. And next week I'll bring in Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I think
I'll have him expect the unexpected.
I think at this point they're like, Vince decided he didn't like Austin Theory anymore. So Vince wants a way to write him off. And Vince comes up with, what if I just use the eraser on him? And then you're like, yeah, okay. And then he does that, and then they write him off.
That's it.
He's erased. And Vince just kind of takes it as a joke. It's like an inside joke. It's a rib.
Yeah.
It's a rib on Austin Theory that Vince thinks is tremendously funny, but it's horribly cruel.
Yeah.
You know, and just...
What must Austin Theory think?
Yeah, I mean, it's really cruel. It's really awful. But that's the kind of jokes that Vince McMahon will play on his employees. And I think that he maybe did that to Austin Theory. I think this was just a way to embarrass him.
Wow. And
to write him off. That is my gut feeling on this.
I mean...
Is that Vince, when he pulled out the eraser and he said he's going to use it on Austin Theory, I think that that was a shoot. And I think that Theory is now gone. I think he's done. He might get fired.
I mean, yeah. You
were
telling me he's like a Brad Maddox kind of figure.
That's who I see him as. He's like a Brad Maddox. And Brad Maddox was, pushed in developmental, and people thought he had a big future with the company, and he was brought up to the main roster, and he was used in kind of a backstage role, and, they used him a lot, and then all of a sudden he disappeared, and you never saw him again, and you thought, well, I thought they had plans, and plans change, pal. Plans change. I think that's who he is right now.
He's in that spot.
I think Austin Theory is in big trouble. I think that Vince promo tonight was a bad sign for Austin Theory. And that's pretty much Raw. Not a great episode of Raw. Not a great episode.
Especially for Austin Theory. This might be like the worst Raw for him. This might be like a day he'll like think about for the rest of his life.
This could be, the beginning of the end. Who knows? Who knows? I hope I'm wrong, but knowing WWE and Vince McMahon the way I do over the years, I don't know. Yep. Silent by Deadly wants to know, do we ever talk about the indies or just Raw, SmackDown, and AEW and NXT?
So much indies.
I'm not sure if you talk about NXT. I mean, what indies exactly are we talking about? There's so much going on.
CZW, GCW.
Yeah, well... Yeah, I mean, we could talk a little bit more about GCW, I suppose.
I can't watch it.
You got to pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are ways to do it, but
it's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, it depends what's happening on the indies, but again, there are like thousands of indie promotions out there, so it's hard to
Local indies.
It's hard to spend time talking about any one in particular. We kind of, I keep my eye on everything, and we definitely will talk about something if a big story happens, like the Hannibal deal that happened. But, I mean, I know who Danhausen is, and, I watch, I keep my eye on all the big wrestling promotions, and a lot of those wrestling promotions use a lot of indie guys, and I go to local shows as well. I went to a local show here, MEW Wrestling, on a Friday night here in Montreal. So I definitely do watch indie wrestling. Johnny North is an indie wrestler. Johnny joins us here on Wednesday and Friday nights. So Johnny is definitely very involved in indie wrestling. He does indie wrestling. So, yeah, we talk about some indie wrestling. But, again, there are, thousands of promotions. It's hard to keep up on everything. And a lot of people don't care. Because if you talk about one specific promotion that maybe, 300 people are watching, not everybody's going to know who you're talking about. When you talk about WWE, when you talk about AEW, it's more accessible because more people are watching. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people watching these shows every week. So it's a little bit more understandable for the average wrestling fan. I think most wrestling fans are watching WWE or AEW, and there are some wrestling fans that are watching other things. Hardcore wrestling fans are watching a lot of different things, but now he's asking me, what is a shoot? So you want to know if we're talking about indie wrestling, you don't know what a shoot is? That's interesting. It's an interesting
line of question.
Juxtaposition there. I didn't understand that. A shoot is when it's real. A shoot is something real. A work is something that is predetermined, not real. Fake, possibly.
Most things are works.
Most things in pro wrestling as a whole is a work. But sometimes, people will shoot. People will say something real. People will do something real. A work is when it's not real. A shoot is when it is real. That's what a shoot is, for those that don't know. I kind of figured everybody knew that, but I guess sometimes you don't. Sometimes
we use the lingo so much.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I'm so deep in the wrestling bubble that I figured everybody knew all these terms. But sometimes, if I say don't work yourself into a shoot, not everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Or blading.
Yeah. I guess there are certain terms that I could explain. So, hey,
Dusty
if
finish.
you have a question, if I'm using a wrestling term that you don't really understand, like Silent by Deadly wanted to know,
you are a glossary.
I'm happy to answer any kind of pro wrestling question you may have. I was just surprised by the question. I was surprised. And yes, I did hear something about Chris Jericho. He was hospitalized for a non-COVID related health issue. He had to cancel a Fozzy date, but I believe that Fozzy's back on tour and Jericho is okay. So Jericho had a slight health scare, but he's fine.
I can imagine what it was. I mean, Jericho's on tour right now in Europe. Jericho likes to live that rock star life. He likes to party hard. Especially when you're in a heavy metal band, you're expected to have a certain kind of craziness. Like, you're expected to be drinking a lot. Otherwise, you're not metal.
Well,
especially
Jericho,
in Europe and Germany, they're all like, yeah, drink.
Well, Jericho he loves to drink. I think they're in the States, though.
I thought they're in Europe. Anyway, either way, you're on a heavy metal rock and roll tour. You're expected to kind of be fucked up. And Jericho, not getting any younger, I kind of worry sometimes about Jericho in that respect.
Yeah.
He's still, I'm sure he's going to insist on wrestling for a long time. I don't think he's near done. And he's going to keep wanting to do Fozzy and, polish off a bottle of Jack Daniels every night is not in the cards if you want to keep going.
Yeah, it's a serious pace. From what I understand, it's Grey Goose for Jericho. Yeah. He's a vodka guy.
That's strong stuff.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think he does drink quite a bit. But, he's in good shape, too. He's in good shape. He keeps himself. And he's probably
can only take so much.
Eating all right. Yeah, but he's
especially when you're in metal and performing too.
Yeah, but his dad was a hockey player. Hockey players drink, and his dad's still going. His dad's still alive.
Lucky.
He
didn't get too many concussions.
Yeah, I think Jericho's got good genes. I'm not worried about Jericho. I think he'll be fine.
I hope so.
Yeah,
but
I don't worry about him.
I don't know if he has anyone ever telling him to slow down.
There's only one guy I really worry about in pro wrestling. That's this guy right here, Bret the Hitman Hart. Guy beat cancer, all right?
Colon cancer.
That's right. Also, I worry about Hulk Hogan because I hear different things about Terry, like Terry's not doing so well. So I worry about Hulk because to me, the most devastating guys that we could lose in pro wrestling would be these two guys right here. These two guys are the reasons why I love pro wrestling.
It's gonna be crazy days when that happens.
Yeah,
there's a few guys.
Of course. I mean, yeah, but let's not talk about that because it's sad. Let's not talk about who will be saddest when they die.
Yeah,
because I think it's sad when a lot of people die. Yeah, all right. I mean, are you gonna go on? It'll be more
if
sad.
Triple H died, that would have been sad.
Yeah, but think about what if I die?
Well, that'd be very sad.
It'd be more sad than
incredibly
Vince
sad.
even.
Yeah, of course it'd be sad. I'm getting a little choked up even.
Don't think about it. I'll be fine. I'm healthy. You want to drink a bottle of vodka after the show and live that Jericho life?
Oh God,
I don't think I could handle it.
Oh God.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I'm a lightweight.
We're done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Doug Hepburn, you are the super chat leader of the night. As you say, Doug, there are no stupid questions. Indeed. If you have any kind of questions for us here, pro wrestling related or otherwise, we are happy to answer here.
To talk about movies.
Yeah, but I don't want you to go on and on.
No, but if someone asks me a question.
That's pretty general.
Yeah. Well, or, theme parks.
All right. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe, you click that bell so you get notifications every time we are on. I will be back here on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right after AEW Dynamite. With Johnny North, we will be recapping everything that happens on Dynamite. Winter is coming.
New champ.
Let's
go.
Fucking go. Kick Hangman's fucking head in. Bryan Danielson, new AEW World Champion Wednesday night. The celebration will be live here on the Ringside Report Network Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, when Bryan Danielson beats Hangman and becomes the new AEW World Champion. Yes! Raw,
big celebration.
Boring. Dynamite, Bryan Hangman for the belt.
I know. Right?
It's like a match that I'm like hyped about 2 days out.
Don't know who's going to win.
When's the last time WWE announced a match for Raw that you were excited about when they announced it? You know what I mean? When's the last time they're like, hey, on Raw next week or on Raw in 3 days, we're going to do this match. And you're like, oh, my God, I can't wait to watch Raw. I can't wait to see this. I can't remember. And AEW does it pretty often. Like, I think the last time they did one of these where I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe they're doing this was probably Bryan and Suzuki. Bryan's having a lot of dream matches in AEW right now that are getting me pretty hyped.
WWE.
I was moderately excited when they announced Big E was going to cash in Money in the Bank, and then he did, and he won the title. Like, I was excited to see him get his moment.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
It's a bit tainted now.
Yeah, but I'll give him that. Like, when they announced that, I was like, I want to watch Raw, and I want to see Big E win the championship. I want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I was like, yeah. But I kind of, like, when they announced it, I was like, oh, he's cashing in. Oh, that means he's going to win the title tonight. Okay, cool. But this Bryan Hangman thing, I'm, like, not sure about, and I really want to see it. Because I think Bryan could win, but I think Hangman could definitely win, too. So, I'm looking forward to Dynamite on Wednesday, and that's it. That's all. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Doug Hepburn, you are the Super Chat leader of the night. And I appreciate you. Don't forget to become a member of the team. Join the YouTube channel. Click that join button beneath me if you're watching on a desktop. If not, you can go to join.ringsidereport.net. And don't forget, we have brand new merch over at ringsidereport.net/shop. I mean, we could show this. Why have we not shown this? Look at this. ringsidereport.net/shop. The official Veer Venus tank.
It is here.
It's here. It's Veer. Get used
It's
to it.
Venus.
The Veer Venus tank, baby. Available right now at ringsidereport.net/shop. Go buy yourself a Veer Venus tank, or if you really want to show off your big Veer Boski, you could get yourself, oh baby, you wrap this around yourself, the big Veer Boski, get
Perfect
yourself
for
one
next
of
summer.
these. It's the Veer Venus towel. Veer Venus.
Just like his father.
Just like his father Val. Now you can wrap this around yourself. The Veer Venus towel. Also at ringsidereport.net/shop. Look at this. Look at this. We got brand new. They call them beanies.
Oh, beans?
But I call these toques. In my world, this is a toque.
Oh,
But
that's
officially,
nice.
it's a beanie. But there is the Ringside Report Network beanie that you can get right now, $29.99, only at the ringsidereport.net/shop.
It's a nice looking hat.
That is one nice looking hat. And look, there's a variety of colorways you can get in. You could get it in black.
Ooh.
You could get it in black. You could get it in red. We saw red. You could get it in blue.
Ooh.
Or blue. Or gray. I like that gray, actually. That's pretty dope.
The gray is nice.
I like the gray. I like the
blue.
black. I like the blue. I like the red. I
Yeah.
honestly like them all.
Red, yeah. Red
Get
is very
them all.
ringside color.
Get them in all the different colors. Get one for every member of the family. Get yourself a Ringside Report beanie. Warm that head. It's cold outside. You need something on your head? Get a Ringside Report Network beanie. All right? Go to ringsidereport.net/shop. Get the Veer Venus gear. Get the Ringside Report beanie. I mean, we got a lot of cool shit going on at ringsidereport.net/shop. And we've got some more stuff coming. All right? We've got more merch coming. The merch is going to be flying. And get ready. All right? It's going to be pretty damn sweet. ringsidereport.net/shop. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Appreciate you. And yes, I will see you again Wednesday night for Dynamite.